She apologized for being late. Then the Mafia boss noticed she was limping. She was 12 minutes late. Not 11, not 15, 12, she had counted, the way she always counted things that could be used against her. The number sat in her chest the whole ride over, wedged between the sound of the 4 train and the ache that had been living in her left side since that morning. The gate was black iron, the kind that didn't apologize for being there. A guard with a face like old concrete looked at her ID for longer than was necessary, then held it up like he was checking it against a list of people who had done something wrong. She stood still. She was good at standing still. She had learned it the same place she learned most things, standing in lines, waiting for paperwork, holding herself together in rooms where the people behind desks decided things. He radioed upstairs, made her wait. She shifted the strap of her medical kit to her other shoulder, moving it off the spot where the railing had caught her that morning on the platform. She had been walking fast, the way she always walked, not bothering to look up, because she knew that stretch of the station by feel, where the column was, where the stairs bent, where you had to angle your body to miss the crowd coming the other way. She had not missed the man in the gray jacket. He had not moved. That was the thing. He had seen her coming, and he had not moved. Her shoulder had taken the railing on the rebound. She had picked up her kit without stopping, recalibrated her balance, kept walking. Later, on the train, she had assessed the damage the way she had been trained. Bruised, probably. Nothing structural. She had filed it under minor and closed the drawer. The drawer had been trying to open again ever since. The estate was the kind of white that had to be maintained. Someone's job, she thought, just keeping that white. The driveway was long, and the house at the end of it was large in the quiet, understated way that meant the people inside it had stopped needing to show anything to anyone. 3 cameras on the drive. She counted them the same way she counted exits, the same way she counted the minutes she was late, automatically, without letting it show on her face. The guard finally let her through. Inside, the hallway smelled like cedar, and something that sat underneath it, something she placed without wanting to. She had been in rooms with that smell before. She knew better than to let her face say so. 2 men near the stairs, not staff. Staff carry things, move with purpose, make room. These 2 were just standing, occupying space the way furniture does, except furniture does not watch you walk past. She watched the floor instead, marble, clean. The kind of clean that was also a statement. She was taken up 1 flight and through a door that was already open. The room was large and not warm, lit by afternoon light coming through tall windows the color of old glass. He was standing with his back to her when she entered, looking out at the garden or at nothing, she could not tell which, and she had learned that trying to guess what men like this were thinking about was a quick way to be wrong. She took in the room in the 3 seconds before he turned, a man seated to the left, pale, sweating through his collar, favoring his right side. Medical case on the table by the window. Good, that was the job. That was why she was here. When he turned, she said, "I apologize for being late. The subway." She said it cleanly, the way she said most things she didn't particularly mean. The apology was not for him, it was for the record. It was so that whatever came next, she had been the one who acknowledged the breach first. He did not respond to the apology. He was looking at her leg. Not at her face, not at her credentials folder, not at the kit. At the way her weight was sitting, the slight lean, the off-balance that had been getting worse since the morning because she had been walking on it wrong all day. She felt his attention the way you feel the pressure drop before rain. Nothing visible, just a change in the quality of the air. "What happened to you?" he said. Not a question. The sentence had already decided it was getting an answer. It was just waiting for her to deliver it. "I tripped," she said. "On the platform. It's nothing." She gestured toward the man in the chair. "I was told you needed someone for a follow-up assessment. Infection management. Post-operative care." She moved toward the table with her kit, before he could say anything else. She was very good at her job. She had been good at it since before it was legal for her to practice it, doing basic wound care in her mother's kitchen for neighbors who couldn't afford the urgent care copay. She had formalized those skills through years of school she had paid for herself, with money from jobs she had worked at the same time as school, which meant she had stopped sleeping properly somewhere around age 21 and had not fully started again since. The man in the chair had a wound on his lower right side, several weeks old. that had been closed well initially, and then managed badly. Someone had changed the dressing wrong. Not wrong in a catastrophic way, just wrong in the way of someone who had learned from watching instead of studying, close enough to write that it felt fine until it didn't. She worked quietly. She explained what she was doing as she did it, the way she always did with patients who were tense. Not asking permission, just narrating. Giving them something to track instead of just the discomfort. The man in the chair relaxed slightly by the third minute. She noticed. Behind her, she could feel Nikolai watching, not moving, not speaking, just watching, the way he had been watching since she walked in, with the quality of attention she associated with people who had learned that most useful information is in what people do when they think they are not being observed. She repacked her kit when she was done, noted the supplies she had used, told the man in the chair what signs to watch for, what would mean the infection was clearing, what would mean it was getting worse. She spoke plainly. She had learned that people do not need medical vocabulary, they need to know what to look for and what to do when they see it. She reached for the strap of her kit to lift it off the table. The motion was wrong. She felt it happen. The reach, the angle, the way her whole left side protested the extension, and she overcorrected, and for 1 second she was not standing straight. "Sit down," Nikolai said. She did not sit down. "I'm fine. You've been compensating for 3 hours. Sit down." She looked at him. He looked back, in that steady, uninflected way that meant he was not going to repeat himself a third time. She sat down. He crouched in front of her. Not beside her. In front of her. At eye level, which was not what she expected. And he looked at her left side, and then at her face, and he said, "Where?" She showed him, through the fabric, the place where the railing had caught her. His expression did not change, but she felt something change in the room. Something quiet and final. The way a door closing sounds different from a door being closed. "The man in the gray jacket," he said. "Describe him." She stared at him. "I told you. I tripped." "You did not trip." He said it like he was correcting a math problem. No heat. Just the correction. She thought about the platform, about the way the man had stood, not moving, and the railing, and the 3 seconds where the whole morning had reorganized itself around a stranger who had not bothered to step aside. She thought about the things she had not let herself think on the train, because there had been nowhere useful for those thoughts to go. 28, she said, maybe 30. Not a commuter. Gray jacket, dark pants, light scar on the left knuckle. He had been watching her before she saw him. She had felt it, and filed it, and told herself she was tired. She had not meant to say any of that out loud. Nikolai stood. He took out his phone and typed something she could not see. He did not explain what he was doing with the description. He did not offer a speech about resources or capabilities or what happened to people who did things like that on subway platforms. He put the phone away. "Thursday," he said. "I want your assessment on Dimitri's progress. Come at 11. She should have said no. She knew this. She was sitting in a guarded private estate, in a room with a man whose name she did not know, and whose business she understood better than she was pretending to. She was a medical contractor, who worked off record, not because she liked the gray areas, but because the gray areas paid on time, and did not ask her to justify herself to 3 layers of administration before she could treat an infected wound. She should have said, "I appreciate the work, but I don't think this arrangement is right for me." She said, "I'll need to rearrange one appointment." He nodded once, like it was already settled, because apparently it was. The car came to the front of the estate at exactly the time they said it would. Black, quiet. A driver who had the demeanor of someone whose job was to see nothing. She got in and the door closed, and the estate disappeared behind the gate. The city came back slowly through the tinted glass. Her city. She had lived here her whole life, and she still sometimes felt like it was something she was borrowing. The streets, the noise, the constant motion of other people going other places. She had stopped asking it to notice her a long time ago. You just moved through it. You counted exits. You kept going. Her kit was on the seat beside her. She opened it and checked the supplies she had already counted, and recounted it, and zipped it shut. The man in the gray jacket had stood in her way like she was not there. Nikolai had looked at her like she was the only thing in the room. She pressed her fingertips to the cold edge of the kit, and held them there, feeling the metal against her skin. Something solid. Something she could identify without thinking too hard. Outside, The city moved the way it always moved. Without her in particular. Without apology. The 4 train was somewhere underground, running its same route, past that same stretch of platform, past that same railing she had not quite missed this morning. None of that had changed. She was going to say no on Thursday. She repeated it once more, quietly, to nobody. She did not believe it the second time either.